So now we're going to the last part. Super chill. We call it the off the record portion. Okay, we're not
Okay.
asking about careers this time. We're asking about you guys, you guys personally
Okay.
as a couple, right? So, yeah, let's keep it chill. Let's keep it fun. Matt and I will ask 3 questions each, right? So, okay, let's start. No, uh, number one, para kay Harvs to, no. Harvs, I was watching one of your videos with Ben, right? In
Oh,
his YouTube channel,
okay.
in his YouTube
So,
channel, diba? And
yeah.
when Harvs introduces himself, he always say, "Hello, it's El Crabo Mercado." No? El Crabo Mercado. Okay, I mean, I was like, ano to? Is this like a fighter or right? Oh, Harvs, can you tell us more about, this nickname, or I don't know, what the heck does it mean? And why did you, use it to your own?
Yeah, so no, it's very, it's actually a very funny story. So this is because, so I'll let you know. So during when I was younger, at a point in time, when I was living with my parents when they were still here in Singapore, um, I remember one time my mom usually just gets annoyed whenever I go to the gym. She's like, "Oh, anak, you're always going to the gym, ha? You're always just working out. You're not helping in the household chores." I do help in the household chores, by the way. It's just that I don't know. She always sees me working out. She say, "Anak, so much laundry naman. Ikaw naman always gym. So there's one point in time I decided gym very late. So I was at the gym at like 9 p.m. and then I finished my work. By the time I got home, it was like maybe 11:30, and then my mom just was like standing at the doorway and then looking at me. And I came home. I was just like, "Hi, mom." Just like, "Where did you go?" And then I was like, "From the gym." And she's like, "Ay nako, ikaw ha? Palagi naman gym ka." And she's like, "Your arms are so big. You look like a crab."
Oh, okay.
Oh, I was just, when I looked at her, I was like, "I don't
Okay.
mind being a crab." Because she's like, and she did this as well. She's like flexing in front of me. It's quite funny, right? My mom, can you imagine, right? And she says, "You look like a crab. You look like a El Crabo." So I was just like,
Oh.
"Crabo?" Okay. So and in my mind, I just laughed and I was just like, "I don't mind being crab." And then obviously so when I told this story to my guys, like my friends and everything, they all laughed and they were like, "Hey man, El Crabo Mercado," and I was like,
That kind of works.
"Okay,
That kind of
oh,
works.
Yeah.
okay, so
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
kind
Nickname
of
so
it sounds it's got a good tune to it as well. Yeah, so therefore I'm the crab
Awesome.
now.
Kala ko naman kung anong ano to, napaka makabuluhang meaningful na ano no na nickname, right? So
parang
it
parang
was from your
wrestler
mom.
nickname, you know.
Parang
Yeah,
wrestler nickname exactly, right?
Rey
So
Mysterio.
yeah. Oh my god. I mean, thanks mom, no, for that name. Thanks mom for that name, diba? It's so unique.
For Kat naman, I guess I have one question for you, no. Since you're a bodybuilder, and it's not often that women bodybuild. What would you say to people who say na that women shouldn't bodybuild? You know what I
Oo.
mean?
bakang
What would you
lalaki.
say to that, no?
Tama.
Oh, okay. I would probably say to them na parang even if they tried, they wouldn't even look like me.
We
Wow.
But like speaking from experience, like I did have like people tell me na parang grabe, parang hindi ka ba magmumukhang lalaki niyan. Tapos parang
Yeah.
ako, in a way before, it did get me na parang I kind of like backed down on my training a little bit kasi parang people were saying na parang I was getting attention na that I didn't really ask for, and I didn't know that I would even get it na parang kunwari they would ask about like my arms or parang yung
Oo.
legs ko, it's very developed. So parang ako in a way, parang I just learned how to like shake it off and parang remembered my why na parang I like doing it. Na parang in fact I think na parang I like myself now. I like myself even better na parang pinaghirapan ko to. So like, you can say what you want, but I'm still gonna do it anyway. And even like for the women who want to venture into bodybuilding, like just give
Yes,
it a
yes.
go. Like, not necessarily enter competitions, but like if you want to lift, like just go lift. Na parang hayaan mo na lang sila. Like they can't even probably lift the same weight as you can. That's why they're saying that.
Yeah.
Wow. What a flex, literally.
China-challenge, no? China-challenge. I remember, Matt, I read an article that Kat actually before, ballet. Nagpa-ballet yan. Right? So,
Talaga? Cheerleading, ballet,
from
everything na.
ballet to weightlifting, right? That's like, at least, ballet is like the most girly kind of performance out there, right?
There we
And
go.
weightlifting, right? So, I mean, it's really a mindset, no?
Mm.
Mindset transformation for you, Kat, 'di ba? Na
Mm.
nag-transform ka dito. Galing, galing. Okay. Sige. My next question for Harbs, no. Harbs, I saw in one of your Instagram posts, no. Sabi
Yeah,
mo, and I think you were invited by Wo Group to talk about nutrition, 'di ba?
yeah.
And isa sa mga slides mo actually wrote, parang, what are the healthiest snacks that you can enjoy guilt-free? Okay,
Mm.
guilt-free, right? Harvs, can you talk to us about maybe 3 to 5, snacks that we can enjoy guilt-free? Because me and Matt might have to stock up on that already, kasi panay French fries kami, panay, panay guilty snacks yung sa amin, right? Any snacks?
Yeah, yeah, cool, cool. So I like to also like rephrase. So this is what I mean by like being my younger self, being naive, and everything else. When at one point in time, my understanding of like there is such a thing as food being bad, unhealthy, and healthy, and good food. Like,
Awesome.
but to me, the spectrum of that, like now being a personal trainer and understanding nutrition in a more at a deeper level, I've understood that like, look, there's actually no such thing as like really terrible food, bad food. I don't
Mm.
classify that, and it takes so much understanding in that. Like again, bad food, I would say like the only bad food is like trans fat. Like nobody should ever eat that.
Yeah.
Like that's trans fat. Like it's bad for you. Like no matter what, I'm trying to argue that like it's definitely bad for you. But like I talk about like ice cream, chocolates and everything. Like what's the meaning? Like bad. What is bad?
Mm.
What is bad to you? Like we've heard people who are strict on the diet and everything else, and they're allowed to even like enjoy a cupcake and an ice cream. Like we've heard of like there's a study done by this bodybuilder called Sohee. So she actually did a bodybuilding competition, and it's a study done where she actually incorporated having a Mars bar, Snickers bar every single day leading up to her competition, and then she also won. And she did a blood
Wow.
test before, and she did a blood test after it as well, and her blood sugar levels and everything were all normal.
Normal.
So you see what I mean? Do you mean that can you actually have a Mars bar? Of course you can, but that means that calories would have to be shifted. It's according to your goals. There you go. So therefore I said like there's no such thing as bad food.
Mm.
There's no such thing as good food as well. If you
Yeah.
have that, if you take away that mindset, you understand that food is food.
Mm.
And there you go. What foods do you enjoy? Great.
Yeah.
Try to incorporate that, because like I said, the best diet is the one that is sustainable, is the one that you can actually keep yourself sustainable. And the one that you can keep yourself sustainable would always be the one that actually leaves you, or rather helps you achieve your goals
Mm.
in the most realistic fashion, that I would say. Yeah. So when guys see me like eating like 6 toast bread in the morning, I call it the Harvey bowl with eggs as well.
Oh
I'm
my
pretty
God.
sure sometimes when yeah, and people go, "Oh my gosh, you're eating eggs? Like, isn't that high cholesterol?" I'm like, no, you can actually eat your eggs. But then again, like I said, it's according to your goals. It's not like if you try to classify bad food and all that. Trust me, what happens is that you're gonna probably crack, and when you crack, it's probably
Really
have
hard.
a lasting impact on your mindset,
Mm.
because you're gonna feel guilty about like
Yeah.
eating the chocolate. Where
Yeah.
actually you can eat that
Yeah.
chocolate bar. It's about just understanding what your goals are and how much
Mm.
calories that you have, and understanding what your diet actually
Yeah.
would incorporate.
Right.
So for me, okay, but then again, coming back to that question, if you want to enjoy your food guilt free, yeah, that's what I mean. Like you have to understand what kind of calories you're on, and then also understand that if you have those food, like for example, like I said, if you like chocolate, great. Try and find out how you can actually incorporate chocolate into your diet, but also understand, because you are incorporating chocolate, which is a nutrient dense food type, which means that the other aspects of your food throughout the day would have to be more specifically geared towards, like, for
Shit,
example,
ganun pala.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
Mm.
There you go. So you can have your chocolate for sure, but that would mean that all your other food, all your other food meals or meals around the throughout the day would have to be then specific. There
Yeah.
you go.
Because I think
Awesome.
just to add to that, then like you're also living examples. Like for me as well, I eat chocolate every day.
Yeah, you gotta eat chocolate every day.
There you go. There you go.
So,
Yeah,
so
we
di naman,
like,
yeah, hindi naman pala necessarily because people when they say you're trying to become thinner and fitter, iwas agad ng milk at sugar. Yan talaga yung
Yeah.
number two na two things deadly eh. Hindi naman necessarily yon. As long as you can
No,
regulate, pwede.
yeah, as long as you can regulate, like I think a big misconception, especially is against carbs. Then
Yes,
the
yes.
fear
Yeah,
or
yeah.
parang mababa siya na parang yung mga no rice diets. But I find that people actually the thing is like with keeping it more sustainable is you have to have a variety of foods.
Mm.
Kasi parang it comes back to your why then with your lifestyle. Are you trying to compete? Are you trying? Hindi naman pala, diba? So lifestyle. That's why it's a lifestyle diet. Like you must incorporate and have variety. Kasi at the same time, you're also helping your gut be able to process like different kinds of foods.
Mm.
And hindi lang yung parang, ay sige magpapapayat ako, mag-chicken breast ako, tsaka rice lang,
Yeah,
like mga
so-
bodybuilder. But the thing is, you're not a bodybuilder and it's not sustainable for you. So like what Harv says, the best diet is the one that you can adhere to. So let's say a regular morning, you like yogurt, okay, sige, sama mo yan. You like rice, sige, go, rice ka lang kung yun yung carbs talaga na gusto mo. It's really having foods you enjoy into your diet talaga. And that's what
Awesome.
make it sustainable.
Yeah, kasi I think just recently Liza Soberano trended, no? People were asking her, "What's your diet? You're so sexy." Sabi niya, oatmeal and tuna. Oatmeal and tuna, right? So hindi naman pala necessarily, right?
No,
Because
not
sometimes
necessarily.
You're sponsored by Century
You're
Tuna.
sponsored.
sponsored by Century pala eh, no?
Yun.
Yun
I
tayo eh.
see.
Di ba kanina sabi natin, don't believe all the, in the influencers.
Influencers, no? Influencers,
Yeah,
right?
definitely. I think there was one popular one. I don't know if you guys know it. Pero si Catherine Bernardo, nag-trend siya nung COVID yata. Parang may ginawa siyang detox juice diet.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so
I
a lot
heard
of
about
people
that, yeah.
on it. And para for me, then there was also another celebrity. They did like the water detox.
Yeah.
And it was like, actually, that's very dangerous because you're not eating and then you're just like drinking water.
Yeah.
So like, I find that parang, especially if you're a person of influence, you should also be careful to what
Exactly.
information you put out there.
Exactly.
Kasi especially young people are very impressionable. I myself was, I remember cheerleading, I had to be at a specific weight because I had to like be thrown, I had to be able to lift. So I was expected na to be weigh around 40 kg. Just to give you
Oh,
reference, I'm about 4'11". Yun yung height ko. So parang it was very thin.
My God.
Tapos parang sabi ko, tapos napapagalitan ako kapag tumataba na ako or I gain, which was hard because I was a naturally muscular person. So parang ako, kahit pumayat ako, talagang meron na talaga akong
May
legs.
gains ako eh. May gains ako eh, right? May gains ako. Wala
I
tayong
was
magagawa
born with
doon.
this.
I was born with this eh, di ba?
Kaya I guess it's also one of my
Yeah.
inspirations since we're getting into it, na parang to be able to educate young women like me na parang in order to get to, if you're making weight for a sport, hindi mo kailangan mag-itlog lang or sweet potato or yung mga
Thank you.
typical skyflakes diet na yan. It's not,
Mhm.
parang you really must find like what really enjoys you and
Yeah.
what you enjoy and good balance then.
So para sa mga audience namin, if they wanna like start perhaps, I don't know, calculating and managing their diet, no? What's the best first step? Like probably consult a nutritionist. Ganun ba?
It's actually a
Question.
very good question. So we have clients that come about like in terms of from all walks of life. And again, the first thing that I always ask is like in order for me to have information today, I need to understand where they're also at in terms of their understanding of a particular diet. So I mean, here in the gym, again, this is one of the few things that we do. We basically have a diet level diagram that we give to our client, where it basically segregates different levels, and as the level progresses, it basically means it's a bit more specific. So like
Got
the
it.
last level is like diet for performance.
Performance.
So we talk about like you need to have an understanding of like what macros are, protein, carbs, sources, fat, and then you need to also have an understanding what
Shit.
calories are eating. And then you basically are you committed to that level wherein, because you're eating for performance, whether it's a sport or anything like it, it means you have an understanding that okay, you have to have this amount of rice, you have to understand that you need to weigh this amount certain carbs for your performance, or if you're a bodybuilder, you're going to compete for a show,
Yeah.
and therefore you need this amount. Very, very specifics. Now, do all clients have that when they walk into the gym? Absolutely not. That's why we go, okay, what is your understanding of that? Just some of my clients will be like, I don't even understand what a protein is. Like, what is protein? Is tofu protein? Is I heard broccoli is protein.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like and then I go, okay, maybe you're at a level one wherein okay, let's work with how many meals do you actually eat in a day? And they go, okay, I have 4 meals. Like I eat four, or like say I eat three. So I work with that first. I'll go, okay, in terms of your 3 meals, this is what I and they'll go, like for example, I skip breakfast. Most of them do.
Yeah.
And then they go, okay, I don't. And then for lunch, I'll go have like, here in Singapore, it's famous for like char kway teow or like bihun naman yung,
Yeah.
or like, I go to a stall and like, oh, I see Jollibee. I'm going to eat like spaghetti.
Yeah.
I'm
All
gonna,
in, all in, yeah.
like, and then
Yeah.
for dinner, I'll have like whatever my mom is cooking. So I'll say, okay, let's pay attention to that. So now I go, okay, do you like eggs? They'll be like, yeah, great. I like eggs. Or okay, do you like yogurt? Okay, so let's have that for your first meal. Is it accessible for you? Do you understand that? Then I go, okay, now instead for lunch, I want you to understand. Can you prioritize protein? So let's say where do you go for lunch? They go like I go to like a coffee place or something where there is like chicken rice, and I
Mm.
love chicken rice. I say, okay, great. So in your chicken rice, what I want you to try to do is to think about how you can order chicken, and then let's take away the skin. Let's start with that. Let's prioritize protein, for example. Okay, now
Nag-chicken
probably
ka
what I'm
pa. Nag-chicken ka pa kung wala yung skin.
if the person loves chicken rice, I'll be like, yeah, that's where you go. You don't actually have to
Sabagay.
start. You don't actually have to start cooking first. So I have a client as well that says, yeah, I have access to like a place where I can actually eat like certain things. So he likes fish, right? I say, okay, great, you can have your fish as well. That's perfectly fine. And then I would say like let's say you go and work out. Okay, so before working out, you can have like a banana, so that gives you a source of energy, for example. And then after your workout, we provide a shake for them, so that's protein for them. And then at dinner, I'll go, okay, if your mom cooks this much, okay, what can we do? Let's work with eating fiber first, and then making sure that you're well hydrated, and then understanding that okay, great, now that you have these first and you prioritize these first, now let's take a look at getting protein in,
Mm.
and then maybe saved, and then after that, maybe if you want to have like a fruit or a carb, perfectly fine, that's okay. But you see, what I'm looking at is strategies that will help them eventually get into prioritizing what they need to prioritize. So that would be like a very typical example of what, again there's our specifics to be involved, but there you go. This is
Yeah.
what we work with. So something that we it's again very specific to what the client is as well. Yeah.
Got it. Thanks, Arps. Okay.
Harvey and Kat, I guess I wanted to ask a very, I don't know, a very deep question. And I think
Okay.
it's a very sensitive question because of, especially for your community, yung mga bodybuilders, no? So I think
Mm.
you might have an idea of what I'm going to ask, no? But what is your position when it comes to the use of steroids?
We.
Mm.
Or are you more of an advocate of, all natural,
Oh,
diba?
okay. Oh, wow. Because for me, it's still a bit taboo for some people, especially who don't know anything about bodybuilding. But the thing is, like, people think na just because mag-inject ka ng steroids, lalaki ka na agad. But not necessarily. There's so much things that you have to consider as well, even dosage and what you use, if you're a female or a male, where your hormone levels are. Like, there's so many things to consider. But for me, if I meet someone who na gumagamit, regardless whether a female or a male, as long as they're being safe, like, okay, parang you do you, basta nagiging safe ka. Kasi especially for women, na parang once the voice cracks, it's irreversible na talaga. So parang I really,
Oh, no way.
yes, it's really
Okay.
irreversible. And parang the
Okay.
thing is, yeah, you get so much, your voice changes, your hair changes. You also age faster, actually look older,
Yeah.
hair thinning. Those are like some of the things you have to consider. Kasi with some steroids, maybe Harvey knows more. Kasi ako very surface level pa alam ko dun eh. They help you recover faster then and
Mhm.
better, but not necessarily a guarantee na lalaki ka agad. Yeah. And also like, what do you call this, parang I don't like it then when people just say na parang sige, when natural athletes also put down
Mhm.
people who use enhancements, kasi parang for me that doesn't make you a better bodybuilder just because
Yeah.
you're natural. And
Yeah.
also same thing with bodybuilders who use PEDs or yung mga enhancements. They will never pick up on what you lack in effort and work. Kasi what's surprising, like some people enter bodybuilding in their 1 year and they want to immediately jump to PEDs when they haven't had the muscle maturity yet, or what we call na parang naging consistent ka na ba for years in your nutrition? Have you even trained properly as a bodybuilder for even a year? So yun talaga na parang ina-emphasize ko din. And what I also know talaga na they will never help you grow muscle because it's not a magic
Pill.
liquid or
Yeah.
pill na will just
Right.
instantly help you grow.
Yeah.
Mm. I
Yeah,
see.
yeah. So for me, I mean, again, like when it comes to like ethics, morals, and everything else, again, for me, my case would be like if you are in a sport that disallows that, like I would say follow that rule
Yes,
because
please.
yeah, it just goes your ethics and morals, and then yeah, but you'll be surprised as well. Like there are athletes like for example the famous one Lance Armstrong. Nobody knew that, and I'll be very very honest with you. Like I think for example for Lance Armstrong, like we all know who Lance Armstrong is.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was like the
He
cyclist.
won the Tour de France for a few years back in the
Exactly,
day.
and you would be surprised because when they basically took out his blood work, he was on more steroids than maybe even Ronnie Coleman was on. Like he was even more on more PEDs. But you see what I mean? He doesn't actually look the part. Like Lance Armstrong, you could be like, yeah, he's a fit athlete. Like, but why doesn't he look like Ronnie Coleman? But if he's taking more, because again, like I said,
Yeah.
there are nuances in that. So for me, for example, if you sign up in a sport and you have a contract and a commitment to it, for me, that's based on your moral obligation. Like if you say you're natural, like just be natural, like in that sense. But if you say you're not, then yeah,
Mm.
compete
Yeah.
in a sport that allows that, or rather doesn't penalize you for using. So that's on my stance. The other thing is also we have to understand that the reason why steroids or anabolic steroids was actually built for is actually for again origins why it's actually being in the hospitals is because for patients who are going through muscle atrophy.
Mm.
So for example cancer patients,
Mm.
cancer
Yeah.
patients when they start losing muscles, that's why steroids are actually built for them
Yeah.
to actually
Mm.
able for
Ganda.
them to actually
Yes.
build on.
Mm.
So if you actually understand that health aspect, right, and then you understand now that also, for example, testosterone replacement therapy or TRT is what we call normal. Again, like I say, I speak on the health benefit of
Mm.
the health aspects of the clients. For example, if you're a guy, studies have shown that now at the age of 30, our testosterone starts to decline. So testosterone again is a healthy hormone that is actually produced by the body. Again, but it's a hormone that's produced by the body. Again, it helps with mood, libido. It helps with muscle recovery, and all the other aspects, sleep as well. And then remember this: if it starts to decline, then your aspect of life also will start to decline. You will start to feel that you're a bit
Mhm.
moody, like
Mm.
how come my back actually hurts now this time? I'm getting old. No, it's like those are the aspects, and you can only find out if you get proper blood tests. That's what I mean, and therefore, would adopting a testosterone therapy from a legitimate clinic or a legitimate physician
Yes.
would be a choice. Then yeah, if it actually helps in that, for sure, there are doses to actually go about in terms of improving one's lifestyle. So that's on my end. Again, I have no judgments in anyone who actually use it. In my regard, for my case, like I said, I'm very very focused in terms of what, and also agree with what Kat is. The problem is that most people think this is a magic pill, and they start reversing the triangle. So
Yeah.
they go, oh. Therefore, if I take that, and if I
Mm.
follow whatever he's taking, I'm gonna grow,
Oh,
as big
Yeah.
as him. Or if he's basically this big, but basically if I take twice more than him, I'm gonna grow bigger. No, your body
Yeah.
doesn't actually work that way
Yeah.
because you have to understand it's an exogenous product, right? Then again, for me, my case, I always tell it's just like saying for example, most of my clients they come to the gym and they go, I want to deadlift 400 pounds, for example.
Yeah.
But they've never stepped into the gym before and they want to step right on 400 pounds deadlift, you'll probably injure yourself, right?
Me too.
Where do you exactly?
That's
So there you go. So you need first, you need to learn how to walk first before you need to learn. So only if again for people who are talking about like considering, have you actually spent years training
Yeah.
absolutely hard? Have you actually spent years learning how to diet maximally for your strength? Have you actually are you in that naturally strong? Have you actually built that foundation even before considering talking about like adding anabolic steroids into your system?
Yeah.
Most of the time, most people just jump in without even having that great
Exactly.
having that foundation.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's a shortcut. Everybody loves wants a
Shortcuts, yeah.
quick result,
Exactly.
right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's medyo parallel to the discussion on legalizing marijuana for sports, right? May
Yeah,
mga
Yeah.
ganun din,
exactly.
right? So, yeah. Thanks, guys. I think very last question. I guess is I just watched one of these reels that Harvs was in, and it was a reel about a friend attaching a tape on your back, and she was
Yeah,
testing
Ah,
your flexibility. No, your flexibility in terms
yeah,
of being able to reach that tape behind your back.
the
Right,
yeah.
right. So, medyo napaisip ako like, God, I mean, with the big arms that Harv has, no, meron din palang parang meron din palang mga kapalit, right? That flexibility might
yeah.
not be as flexible anymore, right? Siguro one
Yeah.
each for you guys. Tig-isa lang. What's the underrated thing na if you have a bulky body, no? What's an underrated thing that you have to perhaps sacrifice, no? Or kapalit, no? For a bulked up body. Anything at the top of your mind.
When you say bulked up body, ito ba yung parang off-season kami? Or,
Off season? Okay. I mean, yeah,
or
sure. May iba pa pala yung off season at ano yun. You
Golf,
could say,
golfing.
sige,
yeah.
sige, off season is a bit closer to us normal human beings, no? So perhaps that. Sige. Yun na lang.
Mm, I think for me being a girl, I would have to say looking leaner. I miss it, definitely. And there are just certain things na parang namimiss ko about being lean.
Mm.
And also a restriction was being, since I'm heavier now, like kunwari I do pull-ups, parang bigat na bigat ako sa sarili ko. Parang
Yeah,
ako, parang sure ako 2 weeks ago, mas magaan ako.
Right. Oo nga, no?
yeah.
Pahirap na
So
pahirap, no?
Oh,
Yeah.
pahirap na pahirap.
Yeah.
anybody, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, for my case, so for my case, so that was a reel that I was bulking, and when I talk about bulking, I'm not talking about like a 3 kg increase. I'm talking about like 15 kg
15 kg.
increase. Like
My
that
God.
is
My
absolutely
God.
crazy.
Wow.
Yeah, so for me, the most underrated thing is actually walking without feeling breathless.
Yeah.
Like it was to the point where I was actually so just to give you a snippet, I'm stage weight. I'm 79. I go down all the way to 79. My normal sweet spot is about 90 kg. 90 kg, 95. That's where like I play rugby at this weight as well, like 95. So like now I'm like, whoo, I can run like that, like feeling I don't feel breathless. At a point in time I was bulking all the way up to like 110. And this was like over a period of like 2 weeks.
Wow.
Yeah, exactly. So you
Grabe.
can imagine that my body was like, whoa, like shirts, I can't even fit like this. I wouldn't be able to fit this Bulls. Like for example, like I have off-season clothes. I basically have
Yeah,
different
we have that.
different.
Grabe.
Ah,
We have
may
Grabe.
that.
wardrobe pa siya.
May
Yeah, yeah,
wardrobe
yeah.
pala. Okay.
Yeah, off-season clothes and like and then for me it's like for my cases especially like I mean I don't know what it has to do like with the like I have big arms. Most people say, well, I want to have your arms, but I'm like, yeah, but your face doesn't expand first.
Yeah.
Like my cheeks just go like the moment I like no matter what. So like stage weight, I'm like deaf skull face, and then the moment I have like I enjoy my off-season fit, my cheeks just go, and
Yeah.
everyone's like, "Ah, your cheeks are expanding." Yeah, inevitable, right? So I think that's one of the most. I think you
Oh
also
my
have
God.
to just to be like I said, it's a confidence thing, right? It does play with you mentally. Like
Yeah.
I've shared with Kat before, like during off season, like I look myself in the mirror and like sometimes I'm embarrassed. Like I struggle with that as
Yeah.
well. Like I go like, oh my gosh, like look at my face, like my face is so bad. Especially if I call my mom would be like, oh, ay nako, diabetes ka. I'm like, oh, mom. Like, oh
My
mom,
mom's really
come here,
funny.
here. I don't show her the cheeks. But like that's the whole aspect, just being confident, but also knowing that you have a goal.
Yeah.
So that's
You
why
gotta own
as
it.
long as you know that you're in the right path, right track, whatever it is, everything's
Mm.
progressing, you should know that you're on the right track.
Yeah.
There is a reason for that. Yeah.
Ganda.
Grabe. Lance, it makes me think of those Marvel superheroes, diba? They
Yeah.
don't look like that 100% of the time. They just look like
Sure.
that for the
See,
camera.
For
Thor,
the
yeah.
Si
yeah.
parang
Si Thor,
si
si
Thor
Thor,
na.
diba? Yeah. Grabe. Okay, Cat Harvs, that's it. Grabe. We're actually 100 minutes in. Can you imagine that, right?
Wow.
So
Oh,
we've been talking a lot, right? We've been talking a lot, but thank you so much for joining us today in this episode.